I think that the most difficult part of being a shinobi was to know how to identify enemy spies and know their minds well enough that one can get into their heads and do damage. Looking to the writings of the ninja, it appears that social manipulation went beyond verbal communication and relied on things like Shinso no Kodo and Ninso no Kodo. These arts were used to know what people were like on the inside by how they dress, how they speak, what they do in their spare time, and what their bodies communicate when they are under stress. Shinobi weren't just skilled as verbal communicators, they knew how to read body language as well. Contemporary behavioral science has shown that the vast majority of what a person communicates is not in audible speech, but actually in nonverbal gestures, facial impressions, haptics, tone of voice, and overt behavior that is difficult to consciously control. To a trained observer, an individual's body language can indicate deception under questioning and various emotional states, even if the person doesn't want these parts of themselves communicated. Then again, enemy ninja may have training that helps them to control nonverbal cues that could imply he or she is a spy. Even so, ninjutsu has a way of dealing with this deep control and bringing the real self and intentions of the enemy spy to the surface by what may be called a test by cuts, wherein the shinobi arranges for a situation to descend on the incognito enemy spy that is highly stressful to his cover. This method is rooted in ancient Chinese spycraft pragmatics that were handed down for centuries due to their effectiveness, and they are still in fact used today. The idea being here to draw out what the person is really like by making them angry, or giving them an office and responsibility, tempting them with women and gold, frustrating their explicit desires, downplaying their tedious efforts, observing them in their sleep, while at a funeral or during a time of celebration. All the while this metaphorical cutting and observation is going on, the person, if indeed he or she is an enemy spy, will be straining under the pressure of keeping one's true mission and loyalties in the dark. At some point, a contradiction between his or her overt behavior and explicit speech will betray the enemy spy's real reason for associating with the shinobi and people of the province. For this reason, I say that a shinobi was a sort of dark psychologist, figuring out what a person was like internally and then striking where it hurts, or befriending the person with a silver tongue was well within the skill set of a ninja. Though on the surface this unabashed manipulation of a person's psychology seems wrong, we must remind ourselves that the stakes were high in their time. War, or the potential for war, requires adaptation of the type that keeps one's allies alive, even if the tactics seem to hit below the belt. As it turns out, communication is a massive subdiscipline to ninjutsu. Shinobi would recognize that everything in their environment would serve as an informational indicator of clandestine phenomena hidden beneath the surface. Everything around us communicates meaning if we know how to read the signs. For example, birds flying away from a forested area could indicate the presence of enemy troops. The entrails of an enemy warrior outside of a castle could indicate whether starvation was occurring within its walls, depending on what his last meal was. And in our modern times, we should know that the car one drives, the clothes one wears, and the place one lives can indicate a great deal about someone's socioeconomic status, their aesthetic taste, and provide cues to what their internal worlds are like. Be aware that what is yo, or overt, and in the open, connects to what is in, or closed off and hidden. A shinobi should know how to discard surface details and peer beneath, looking deeply at a person or subject to find truths that are otherwise concealed or occulted.